Guys, I'm back. I hope you enjoyed the new intro. Now, today we're doing a review on Invincible issue number 1, The Origin of Invincible. Uh, Invincible is Mark Grayson. He's a half human, half Viltrumite, and his powers consist of super strength, flight, 9 vulnerability, and quick healing. Now, when I say 9 vulnerability, what that means is he's invulnerable to most man-made devices such as bullets, bombs, explosions, knives, anything like that. But if he goes up against somebody that is on his same strength level, he can sustain damage. That's where his quick healing factor comes in. And he gets most of his powers from his father, who is a full Viltrumite. Mark is only half Viltrumite. His father is full Viltrumite, and his father is Omni-Man, or Nolan Grayson. And his father came to Earth to study and improve Earth's civilization as well as protect it. They're an alien race that does this. They go from planet to planet and they protect and improve on the civilization that they're currently studying. You have to read in further to find out more about that. There's a little backstory to that. There's a little M. Night Shyamalan to it, I guess you could say. But yeah, his father is basically this universe's version of Superman. He has all the powers of that Mark has, but in a greater capacity, basically. And it's a pretty good read if you've never read it. He first appeared, Invincible first appeared in Tech Jacket number 1 in 2002 by Kirkman, and then the first 6 pages of Invincible can be found as a preview in Savage Dragon 102, as well as this issue of Masters of the Universe number 1 with the J. Scott Campbell cover. And it's a great cover by J. Scott Campbell. A few other characters, supporting characters in this issue or book is Adam Eve, which later she becomes the love interest of Invincible. She is a part of the teen team, and she has the ability to control atoms at a subatomic level, which means she can make things or change the molecules of things. And also, the team leader, another supporting cast member, is Rexplosion, and he has the ability to charge any inanimate object or object with an explosive power. Think of it as sort of like a downgraded Gambit, basically, but he's a pretty cool character in his own right. Other characters that are in this is Immortal Man, and he is the leader of Global Guardians, I believe it is. And he basically, like his name says, he's immortal. If you know anything about Invincible, if you read up on this, or if you haven't read it, you'll get to find out why he's called Immortal Man. And another supporting character is Duplicate, and she's part of the team too. And she has the ability, as you can tell by her name, to duplicate herself and have more than one of herself, like multiples, like sort of like a multiplying man. This is actually a pretty good, like I said, a pretty good read. Robert Kirkman, as I said, this book has been optioned by Amazon to be made into an R-rated cartoon. So if you haven't got your hands on issue 1, try to do so, because it should be spiking soon. and it also has Seth Rogen, as I said before, is in the works to produce a movie behind Invincible, and it's a pretty good, like I said, pretty good source material to make a movie from. He pretty much spends, he's in high school still dealing with the problems of being not only a superhero but the son of the world's most popular superhero and most powerful as well. So he spends a lot of time trying to figure out what he needs to do. Uh, it's the great, like I said, it's just one of the best things that I've read in a while, and I got in the game late on this one because, like I said, I wasn't collecting for a while, and then like I started collecting after Dallas Fan Expo, and I'd heard about Invincible, but I had never read it. And then like my son was like, "Hey, Dad, I started reading Invincible," and I was like, you know, what's in, I've heard about Invincible. What is it, And he showed me one of the issues that he had, and like just, and this is when Ryan Otley was drawing, and it was just like, because Corey Walker did the first, I believe, issue 1 through, I think it was, I want to say 13 or maybe 10, 1 through 10. And then Ryan Otley took over for the rest of the run. And when I seen Ryan Otley's work on this, I was just like, wow. I was just like, it was the brutality and the violence and just the blood and stuff in the book. I was just like, I was amazed by it, but I was just like, wow, this is like really graphic. And so I decided that I needed to read it from the jump. So I ended up getting issue 1, 2, which you see right here. I have issue 1, but I've read a lot of it on ebooks and other things like that, and back issues that I find I read, or reprints. Like I have a reprint of number 1, and that's what I read that first. But yeah, if you haven't read Invincible, you need to get it. It's, like I said, we're about to review it right now, so you can check it out and see for yourself. So hope you enjoy it. That's just a little information on it. So you guys check this out and see if you like it for yourself. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. We open with Invincible rocketing through the air with a man clutched over his shoulder with a device strapped to his chest. He removes the man from his shoulder and hurls him with all his might. And suddenly, boom! The shockwave from the blast sends him hurtling to the ground, but Invincible stands up unscathed. 4 months prior, we find Mark Grayson at his job, taking out the trash. He lofts the trash up in the air and it flies high into the sky. With a look of shock on his face, Mark says to himself, "It's about time." Later that evening, the Graysons are at the dinner table having a discussion, and Mark brings up the fact that he has superpowers now. But it's not a big surprise because his father is Omni-Man, Earth's mightiest hero, so they just brush it off as nothing. After dinner, Mark walks out on his roof, wondering what other powers he has. His father can fly, so he decides to see if he can. He jumps off, not sure of himself, only to find that he hovers in the air. Ecstatic about his newfound ability, Mark shouts, "Too cool," and shoots skyward up in the air, leaving his home far behind. The following day, we see 3 men fleeing the police. They've just committed a daring jewelry heist. They argue amongst themselves. The muscle of the group says, "We won't get caught," and he grabs 2 of the men and they hurdle a high fence, evading the police. As they clear the fence, they are met by a masked individual that levels the big guy with a right-handed punch, and he smashes him into the ground. The big guy punches the masked individual off of him and lunges towards him, only to be rocked by another solid blow, shattering his hard, rocky skin. As the masked individual stands over the subdued criminals, he hears a familiar voice. It's Nolan Grayson. As he turns and removes the mask, revealing himself to be Mark Grayson, his father asks him, "How long have you been doing this?" And Mark replies, "Oh, for about 2 weeks." And then his dad tells him, "Well, we need to get you a proper outfit," and they fly off into the sky, leaving the criminals unconscious on the ground. Nolan takes his son to the tailor, a gentleman that specializes in superhero costumes. Mark asks him what's the deal with these discs on the suit. The tailor responds that these are solar batteries. Back when I thought your father's powers were solar based. Nolan laughs and says that's a common misconception, but that is not the case. At school the following day, Mark is in the hallway at his locker when he hears a kid being bullied, and Mark responds to the bully telling him to leave the kid alone. So in response, the bully walks over to Mark and shoves him, which is a bad mistake on his part. Doom! Mark takes his forearm and shoves it into the bully's neck, slamming him into the locker, crumbling it like a piece of tinfoil. Leaving the bully dazed, the bully crumbles to the ground in a piling heap, and Mark shouts, "That's what you get." And next, the lunch lady comes out and tells Mark, "Go to the principal's office now." In the principal's office, Mark explains that the bully was picking on Stephen White, and he asked him to stop. The principal said that he understands that that boy has a history of causing trouble, but Mark should go get a security guard or a teacher next time, and that he should always be careful that he is not invincible. Mark's eyes widen, and he has a smirk that comes across his face. Later that day, at a savings and loan, gunmen masked and armed are in the middle of robbing the place, demanding from the manager a security deposit box and cash. As the men make their getaway on foot, they run across the street, shoving old ladies out of the way. As they make their way towards the alley, the getaway driver comes running around the corner, and all the men stop in awe and shock. Mark hovers in the air with the getaway vehicle above his head, lifted. The bank robbers tell him to put the vehicle down or they'll shoot. Mark simply smiles and looks at them and says, "I wouldn't do that. I'm invincible."